All right. Well, gang, we are back. It seems like forever and a day, but the break was very much needed. I am your host, David Lorenzo Glover, aka the Controversial Counselor. Joining me is my co host, the Big Bad Wolf, Herb Lewis.
Oh,
If you missed us, don't be strangers. Let's get reacquainted. Join the panel. All right. Recap from 3 weeks ago. So that's how long it's been. We last discussed the topic the bear versus man. Go back and check out the replay on the Controversial Counselors YouTube channel. Also, hopefully by now you have seen the Facebook, YouTube, IG, and TikTok reels circulating around about the broadcast. Well, that is old news. Time to shift the focus to tonight, June 3rd. The topic we will be discussing is being single and the long term consequences on society. Now, this subject can go either way because some people enjoy the single life for several reasons, such as they may say it's more time to focus on themselves because of longer lifespans, people trying to be the best that they can be. So they feel like they got a little more time when they get in their 40s and 50s. But we know life isn't forever. But due to technology and medical advancements that many people are living longer, so a lot of people they're in the stall game to say, hey, until I get right, that's when I'll get back out there. Number two, some people say, shit, relationships are expensive. You spend more money. So they say, hey, if I'm by myself, I know what I'm going to spend. I know what I want. I don't have to worry about dates or holidays and birthdays. So they're okay with that. And number three, some people use that time to be single just simply to maybe travel, maybe get into go back to school, you know, maybe get into a trade or just all different types of things to broaden their experiences. So when they do go back out there, they got something to talk about. They got some credentials behind their name, and they know how to engage in a conversation. But now let me hit you with three psychological effects of being single for a long time. Some people, the fear of rejection and vulnerability, they're afraid to get back out there. They don't want to face rejection. They remember what their last breakup was like, so they may say, "Nah, I'm just not. I'm not ready," and they're shaking in their boots, and they don't know how to step back out there. Two, loneliness, which can lead to isolation and the inability to open up to people. So some people, they get in their routines, their habits, and they kind of are socially withdrawn from people other than maybe family members, but they kind of keep to themselves. So, but at a certain point in time, uh, that loneliness does kick in. And it may be during holiday time, and it could be during birthdays, it could be Valentine's Day. It runs the gamut. And number three, lower self-esteem due to societal pressures about relationships.
mhm.
If they haven't been out there for a while, and all you see on social media is talking about relationships and people posting pictures and different things of their loved ones, and they're having the time of their life, that could have impact on people who haven't been with anybody for years, and they start looking at themselves like, what is wrong with me? Like, I'm a nice person, I treat people like how they want to be treated. Why can't I land some come land something good or catch something good and be able to walk off in the sunset? So those are just three to kind of get you going. Well, the foundation has been set, so who knows where this conversation is going to go. But big trust, we know it's going somewhere. Please like and share our video, and don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, The Controversial Counselor. I think we still stuck at about 866 subs, but no stress this way. It's going to jump off when the time is right. So here we are, back after a couple weeks. Let me just kind of fill you in on what's been going on in my world. Well, that Friday of the last show, remember I mentioned about my school closing, and we had a goodbye golden ring ceremony where people alumni came. It was people like 60 and 70 years old coming up there, walking through the school, talking about the hallways they used to be at. This is where they used to hang out, going to visit old classrooms. And I seen some of the students when I first started there. They came back. You had teachers that retired, stopped by, people that transferred to other schools. So it was a nice it's a nice little send off for, I guess, one of the oldest schools in our school district. So the time is coming, and actually Wednesday, our final eighth grade class is having their farewell ceremony. So they don't even understand the historical value that they'll be the last middle school eighth graders at Golden Ring Middle in Baltimore County. So that's coming on Wednesday. So a lot of excitement, a little sadness to think, and I'm like, man, I've been in this office for 11 years, man. Like this is like my second home. Now I'm packing up stuff, and the walls are bare, and it's just like, uh, time to go on. Now, don't get me wrong, I'll be moving into a new office, new furniture, and all that stuff. But so many memories and so many conversations. Hey, I created a book, No Friday Foolishness, based on my conversations in that office. So it's been everything as far as for me. So that was that. Then my family went on a 7 day cruise to like the Bahamas, and just never realized, like, packing for 7 days when you're going somewhere and it's hot, it's a lot. That's just, it's like I kept sleeping on it, like, oh, I got time, thought I had my stuff together. And then they had certain themes, and I thought I was all set. But then when I get there, I was like, God damn it, I forgot these sneakers. Damn it, I was supposed to get this hat, bring this hat. So it was a lot. And usually when you start getting, up in age, you don't have that opportunity to spend 7 whole days with your family, all day long. And there was some connections being made, and it was, as people say, I had a time. I had a time. So especially the conversations, the laughter, getting to know different people on a different level, and it was all right. And as it got toward the end, you're like, damn, back to life, back to reality. Like,
Is it so?
it was this mirage we was on, like, and now it gotta, and that's the one thing I always quote with the great John Wooden would say. He said the process is always better than the end result. And now you can kind of understand, like, leading up to the process, you get all amped up, like, yeah, I'm gonna be gone for 7 days, whatever, like, out on this cruise, enjoying life, ain't got to worry about work, and enjoying the process throughout the whole time. But then it comes to an end, the end result, and you like up on a high, and it's like, back to work, back to your normal life. And that's why you always got to enjoy the process, relish it, uh, engage in it, and look for other opportunities. And that's what you got to keep doing to create great memories. Is look for every opportunity you can to make something positive and worthwhile to have in your in your memory book, your mental Rolodex, and all that. So that's that. So, but great time. Enjoyed my family and friends, and look forward to the next thing. Well, you know, we always gonna have little functions. You know, stuff about to go down anyway. It's about to be the summer, so got a couple things cooking. So that's never ending. Y'all always see the footage, whatever. I make sure I keep y'all informed with those stories and what's going on. So something coming up in a couple weeks. So that's that. What's going on with
And
you, Big Bad Wolf?
and I I'm happy to report, that the book process is got on the ground now, is getting feet and start to move along. I have to submit a couple more things, and hopefully I meet that July 15th deadline. Things are looking good, so it's um it's a little more involved than what I initially thought it was going to be. So, and it's a learning process. So for me, it's my first book. But otherwise, I'm anxious and excited and apprehensive all at the same time. It's kind of like you was talking about when you're packing. Do you have enough time? Are you going to do this? Is this going to make? Because you were asking me before we went live. Was I going to have a picture of myself? And I was like, nah, I don't. I don't. It's funny. I like privacy, but everything I do runs contrary to that. Every Monday night I'm here doing a podcast. People see me. I've run for political office. People have seen me. So it's just like, well, why would you not put your picture on the cover, back or front, of something that you attach your name to? So I don't know. It's just kind of weird like that. I'm just like, I don't want the notoriety, but you're doing something that's going to bring you some notoriety, even if you only sell 15 to 20 copies or whatever the case is. So I don't know. It's one of those things I struggle with. I guess it's just a conflict within me, as I like to say. But
I
um,
think you need to reconsider that and just even for as you get older to be able to like look at it and say, "Shit, this me right here. This me." Like,
I I might do it because I still have because the editor wants me to write something about me, and I'm just really not that type of person. I don't even though this writing is pretty much coming from my own mind, because I mentioned something you said in the book as well. With regards to change and being uncomfortable, getting comfortable with it. So there's a shout out to you in that book. I quoted Napoleon Bonaparte. I mean, there's a couple things that I'm really proud of that I've done with the book, and two of those things are I've redefined, at least for the book, what the body is. Because if you ask somebody to define body, they give you the standard canned response. I changed that whole thing. So I redefine body, I redefine soul, just for the explicit use in what I put in this book. So anybody, if you're struggling to get back out there, as David alluded to, with these three things, I would encourage you to pick up a copy of this book, not because it's going to benefit me financially. Hopefully, it benefits you more, you know, um, mentally and spiritually than it does me financially. Because I understand that dating for most people is very difficult. And I am the exception to the rule. I'm comfortable wherever I go, no matter what I do, even at my overweight self. And a lot of people, they lack that. They don't have that kind of confidence that you can put them anywhere and they're comfortable. So that's the first thing a lot of people, they need to do. And this is going to lead into what we're talking about, is they have to get comfortable with, first and foremost, who they are. Everything that's good about you, everything that's bad about you, and everything that doesn't really make a difference in one way or the other. And I think that's the bigger issue when we get into why people are single. And I'm not saying single because they're working on themselves. So I'm saying single because they don't see anybody out there that's a prospective mate. They're on dating apps, and I've said before on our show that dating apps are hookup sites. Unless you're just looking to have sex, whether you're male or female, homosexual or heterosexual, post-op transgender, whatever the case is, dating apps are nothing but sex plots. Go to look for a hookup, because it's rare that you're going to find somebody in a dating app because you haven't met that person. Everybody's concerned about meeting the representative. Well, who do you think you're going to meet with a few pictures and a few sentences? You're not going to meet that individual. You're not going to know the things that that person might be trying to conceal. Yeah, doc, might be trying to conceal from you that you need to know, that's going to determine whether you want to be in a relationship with them or not. It's impossible. This is why people end up getting catfished, because they fall for what they read and they know nothing behind the screen of the person that's sending the messages. So as far as you know, the person you're talking to who says they're in Florida could be somewhere in San Francisco, lying to you all the while, and you falling in love with words on the screen. And you go to meet this individual, and there's nothing like what this individual said in their bio. As a former panel member, you say headshots are deceiving. Words are too. I can't deny the legitimacy and the accuracy behind that statement. So, just like life, Kevin Samuels used to say, life happens out there. You got to get from behind the screen, get from behind your phone. As the dating coach we had on about a month or so ago, you say, hey, get out there, go places, do things, meet people, engage in conversation. Shout out to Ron Wills. Used to tell men, hey, look, if you have a problem with approaching women, just go out and say hello to 5 random women. Doesn't matter. Just say hi and keep the conversation and keep it moving. I wholeheartedly agree with that. And then you build from there. But you're never going to get anything if you do nothing. The Bible even say faith without works is what is it? Faith without works. And forgive me, people, if I misquote the Bible. I don't mean to be offensive. Faith without works is dead.
Mhm.
If I give you a blueprint, I give you all the tools necessary, all the materials necessary to build what the blueprint says, but you don't do anything. What good is that blueprint to you? We got a lot of people that do that. They get a blueprint, but I don't. I'm afraid to leave the house. What if I don't measure up? The only person putting pressure on you is you. Don't put that
So
pressure on you. Go out there and have fun. Enjoy.
it kind of reminds me of everything you're saying is like back in the days, or even let me just start off with even taking leadership uh, classes, and I was most of the people in the program were teachers striving to be administrators, but I was probably the only counselor in there. But even besides that, I was always quiet in class. And then I don't know, one of my mentors or someone had told me this, like, yo, you just, because I would just be quiet, just be in the class quiet. And they said, you got, you have to go, you have to say to yourself, let me raise my hand a couple times per class. And once you do that, you start feeling different. So that was one of my goals. I was like, okay, because the classes would be like on Saturdays, it might be like from 9 to 1. So then we would have like an hour and something lunch, but I would try to make it my business to say, all right, in the morning, I'm gonna raise my hand 2 or 3 times. I'm gonna participate. Then in the afternoon, uh, or sometimes everything would happen in the morning. But I would feel much better instead of just sitting there and not partaking in the conversation. So I had to challenge myself so I can see where Ron Will said that sometimes you just got to go out there and say, try to speak to 5 people. Which reminds me when we were younger, that when we would go out to clubs, it was like a competition. I think I brought this up before. Igor used to always challenge us because he probably was a little more verbal, a little more aggressive when it came to the ladies, and he was like, "Yo, if y'all not gonna say anything to anybody, and y'all gonna sit on y'all fucking hands all night, y'all could have stayed in the fall." So we would go to Buffalo or whatever the case is. It's like y'all just take it up, occupying the seat in the car. So that would be always the thing. Like, all right, I gotta say something to somebody. Then at the end of the night, we would come back and reflect and be like, okay, anybody get any numbers? Anybody get any rhythm or whatever the case is? So, you know, luckily, we didn't have cell phones then, so you might have something, a number written on your hand, um, piece of a napkin or something, or part of a paste, whatever the case, whatever you can write on. And for me, I always kept a pen on me.
Yeah.
Sometimes to my own fault that I would have a pen, and it would always put it in my back pocket. And that
Ah,
sometimes that ended up being a disaster with my pants or whatever. But I always had a pen on me, so we would challenge ourselves like that. And I probably was the quietest one out of the crew, so it was, I definitely had to try to get off because I wanted a spot in the car, because if you wasn't up to par, they were like, oh, they not gonna come get you. Like, oh, we ain't gonna get him. He ain't gonna do shit. He ain't gonna holler at nobody. He ain't gonna do nothing. So I I earned my stripes during that time, whatever. I earned my stripes. I would always make it my business. Then it also became helpful when sometimes ladies gravitate towards you, and you didn't even really have to put in no effort.
yeah.
So being the quiet one and always trying to be on point, I was, you know, I would break, some of the ice would get broken because I might have got approached by some young ladies. So not trying to toot my own horn, but facts is facts.
Toot it, toot it,
Uh,
toot it, man. I see, and to me, that's the bigger problem, especially now in today's climate. Men, and I don't mean men who have nefarious intentions. I'm speaking of men who are wholesome. They're well behaved, they're groomed, they're out to have a good time. They're trying to push those kind of men away, saying we don't want you, we don't need you, et cetera, et cetera. This is the whole bear versus man thing that resurfaces. And the men who otherwise are suitable mates have been pushed into a corner to where they question what it is that they're doing because they had no success prior, or they have no success at all. They're afraid to approach women. They're afraid of being rejected. They're afraid of being shot down. Like David said, when we were clubbing, you may have said hi to 10 women. Only 2 or 3 may have actually even replied to you, spoke back to you. That was it. That was your bumps and bruises. You're like, yo, man, Shorty just cut you up, man. She didn't even look at you. She was just like, whatever, dude. You say, okay, fine. But you kept going, you kept moving. Nowadays, these young men they will even make the first move regardless of what the issue is, where they at, or what the situation might become. So it's difficult for men under the age of, I'm gonna say roughly 35, to think about, let alone actually doing in the approaching. And we know for the most part, 90% of women are not going to approach men. They still feel it's the man's job to pursue, regardless of what position society has put them in, whether it's economic, educational, professional. They still feel it's a man's job to approach. So what happens now when you get a demographic Gen X, I'm sorry, not Gen X, Gen Zs and Zillennials now, because they're the prime dating market, when they don't approach. Their method of approaching is, well, I sent you a friend's request on Facebook. I tried to message you on Facebook and Instagram, and it's not getting it done. You got to put boots on the ground. You got to approach somebody. You got to stand in front of them, make eye contact. That's the least you can do to show some kind of interest. But these younger men, they don't do that, mainly because it's not done when they're in middle school. It's not done when they're in high school. You can forget about college. Most of these guys in college now, it's a battle that they're losing, and they don't
now,
even know how to fight it.
now that you mentioned middle school, listen, for any of you who got middle school boys, um, I'm concerned, and I'm concerned that a lot of them got the Diddy syndrome of how they roughhouse. Now, granted, we used to hit girls. You run, they chase you, and all that stuff, and then you. It's a way to get little, get your little feels and comfort in, and all of that stuff. But these dudes, they wild. Like I'm talking about, like will have girls by their hair, pulling them, and I'm like, yo, dude, like get off her like that. Like, yo, stop doing that. And it's just like it's just natural to them. Like, and I'm like, okay, it's all good. And made reference to it. It was, I think, just on Friday. I was like, y'all got a lot of Diddy in y'all. To a couple of these, I said, y'all got a lot of Diddy in y'all, and y'all don't understand. Oh no, Mr. Glover, she hit me first. Whatever. She's a girl though, and they just playing around, but it's just like too rough. But also on the other end, whoever got middle school girls, these girls are too damn rough. They take stuff too far. So that's the dilemma. They take stuff too damn far.
Shout out to BGS. He calls it the Klingon mating ritual, in which physical contact is the start of the whole mating ritual. So shout out to him for that. Because when he first said it, I was like, damn, I never really thought about that. Because I don't know if I actually really want to say this, but I suppose I have to because it kind of falls in line. The snapping the bra straps. That was one of the things we did when we were 13, 14, or 15. Even though it hurt, it wasn't really meant to be painful. It was how we flirted, because there were certain things you wouldn't do in public for fear of getting in trouble, and not necessarily beaten up or anything. It was just like you might get slapped or whatever the case was, and you didn't want that because that was kind of embarrassing. But those was the little things, the slaps or whatever. But times have changed, man, and the way we flirted, you can't. These young men wouldn't understand it, let alone be able to comprehend it. So, what's the icebreaker for these young boys, these young men? How do they actually even approach a women? How do
I
they
guess,
actually show interest?
I guess the bigger thing is, and I talked to a couple of my brothers that I work with. There's no recourse for us. We can't give it to them like we want to give it to them. So many of us say, no, I ain't. They'll say, I ain't fucking with that. I ain't messing with that. I ain't trying to do no mentoring thing. If I got to sugarcoat it and all of that. So in a sense, like we always been, we screwed. You don't get it from home. You can't get it from school when you have several black men on the staff that the kids look up to and they gravitate to, and you can't give it to them like how you want to give it to them, and you got to be worried about what is said. Or now, it's some certain kids I could say certain things, and it's like it's nothing. They just take it and like, hey, that's Mr. Glover saying that, whatever. I don't got no, I don't take no offense. But then you have certain kids, you just never know. You never know if they're gonna go back and tell mom or dad you said that, and then they coming up there trying to raise hell, and you tell them, and the kid, like, I'm gonna get my father, my mother about it. I'm like, come on up here. Shit, I'm on, you know where I'm at. But I guarantee you, they also probably go leave out of here in cuffs. But
Yeah.
but that so I think that's one of the bigger concerns, that you just can't deliver a message like how you want to deliver it, that it's effective. So everything is so scripted and so watered down that this is what we're producing, because everything has to be that way, because we live in a cancel culture type or get you fired type of culture. So we fucked. So I'm just gonna say that.
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny to go to three things that you had. I had a list of 8 things that I wrote down that are going to be affected, and one of those was the mores and folkways of yesteryear. And what I mean by that is this: like David said, we can't instruct the young boys on how to interact with women because the way we interacted with women is no longer considered no longer considered practical. It's no longer considered acceptable to compliment a woman on her physical appearance because then they say, "Well, what is that all? Is that all I am to you?" Wait a minute. The initial attraction for probably 90% of the visualized or visual world is physical. So why would I not comment on that? You wear something that looks nice. I say, hey, that dress looks nice on you. It's acceptable if she likes you. It's not acceptable if she doesn't like you. So what is a young man to do if he sees a female that he likes? She's physically attractive to him, and he approaches her. He says something to her. She says, "Ooh, you're a creep. Get away from me."
You're weird. You're a creep. You're everything. And I have to tell some girl. I said, why is he weird? Like, what's wrong with that? What was wrong with what he said? "Oh, it's just weird. Like, cause he compliment me every day. What's wrong with that? He sound like he like you. I don't like it. Oh, but you like when the boys in the hallway and they like shut up, bitch, and all of that stuff. And you chase them around, whatever. We screwed. That's just
Yeah,
it.
it's almost the decline of morality. I'm gonna, even though this is a worldwide issue. I want people to understand. You got the 4B movement in Korea. Um, you have feminism that's taken a hold in a lot of places. And some people will say that feminism is ruining modern dating culture. I'm not here to say it is. I'm not here to say it isn't. All I'm going to say is I'm not affected the way some people are. But then again, I'm 52. I'm not looking to produce children. I'm not necessarily looking to date because I'm going to put out there about 80% of the females that I come into, they're disqualified before I even meet them. That's just because of where I am in my life, but I'm not going to get into my life because this isn't about Herbert. But you have men out there who are actually looking to get married, looking to establish families, but either they're not attractive enough for women, they're not financially well off enough for some women, which leaves women chasing the men who are. But you have these women who complain about these men aren't loyal. They want multiple women. No, not really. It's the men that you keep chasing after, the men that would otherwise make good fathers, make good husbands that compliment you daily, just like David said. The women don't want them. They're creeps. They're not attractive. They're not viable. So now you get these women that are talking about, well, I'm better off single. I get to decide where I want to go, who I want to sleep with, who I want to do what I want to with. That's fine. But just understand all the things that come with that. Because right now, the United States is at a point where the replacement birth rate is about even uh, almost to the point where it's negative. Japan is at a negative growth rate, a negative birth rate. And to put into context what that looks like is this: there's already a migrant issue. For those of you who are unaware, all these people that are being imported into the United States of America, they are going to severely impact where tax revenue goes. So all these people who depend on public programs for whatever it is, be it Section 8, food stamps, welfare, Medicare, that money is going to stop coming to you because there's only so much in the tax budget to be allocated. So that money is going to go to migrant families to help them get a foothold in this country. And guess what? Most of them have not contributed a dime to the tax base. When we'll say, well, how does that affect me? Easy. When you start to age, and you will, the longer you live, the more you age, and all of a sudden you need something, and it used to come from the government, you're going to be on your own. So all the men that you relied on to keep the infrastructure running, there's going to be less of them. All the men who provide safety, whether it's fire, police, military, there's going to be less of them. Already the U.S. military is at a severe shortage for recruits. And I understand that most modern wars now are being fought with missiles and some type of other drones. But the likelihood is very, very slim. But if this country is ever invaded, you're going to need bodies to keep you safe. That's already happened in Ukraine. We see that now. That's a glimpse of what could happen in other places. It just so happens that the United States is bordered on East and West Coast by two oceans. Kind of hard to land a whole lot of people here enough to take over this country. But that's not going to have to happen. They're just going to bring in more migrants. And these migrants are going to take over the jobs that your sons could have had, that your daughters can have. Who do you think is going to be teaching all these kids English? You think it's going to be easier for somebody that speaks their language or for somebody who doesn't speak their language? All these jobs that these women have, retail, because you have a shrinking demographic, they're going to close. We already saw it during COVID. The hardest hit demographic during COVID was women and children. And there you go. This is from a person who's actually in the school district as an admin. And I'll read what she's saying. She said they receive $9,000 per adult, and I'm not sure how much the kids get in the Buffalo Public School District, and has a subgroup labeled migrants with $13,500 allocated to the district and $30 million multilingual department, and they're laying off teachers. I'm only telling you what's coming down the pipe. And this is just in Buffalo. We're not even talking about the rest of New York State or the rest of the other 49 states. This is coming. There's going to be severe budget cuts. There's going to be a lack of tax revenue. And where do you think that money is going to come from?
My audio. I'll be right back.
Okay. There's a lack of tax revenue. So couple that with inflation, home prices are going up. People are going through, we see it now with a lot of women. They're moving in and they're having female roommates because they want to be happy single. I'm not telling you not to do that. Whatever it is that works for you, do it. Be happy. But understand the long-term ramifications, because eventually you're going to get tired of living with another woman. It never fails. Everybody wants their own space. Everybody wants to do what they want. Everybody wants to entertain how they want. You have somebody that doesn't like the smell of fish, but you love your salmon. Something's going to have to give up. Something's going to have to give way. You like to burn incense. You like to play your Marvin Gaye a little loud. You're a little loud when sex happens. She ain't getting it. She's going to feel some kind of way. It happens. People aren't, even married couples aren't always compatible, but they find a way to work it out. You and your roommate don't have to. Somebody's going to say, well, get out. And then what happens? This is all due to people saying that, they're better off single. They want they singleness. They want this, they that. I'm just telling you, you're setting the table for the next generation to eat. And when there is not enough food on that table to feed everybody sitting at that table, somebody's going to starve. Ooh.
Yeah.
God damn.
It's things are looking like it's going to be on the decline. And I, I look at it even we about to go, about to go to a new school. Um, and they come up with these projections and these numbers. And I'm like, how do y'all get these numbers? And I know, and I think that everybody else know, anytime there's a new bright, shiny new building, people gonna move into that area. So that means the enrollment is gonna go up, and that means you're gonna need more teachers. But school districts say, oh no, they're not a lot. They're not. They didn't put that in the budget. You can't do this and that, and then you have overcrowded classrooms, and you know what that leads to? Fights in other social issues that eventually, after year 2 or 3, that school building is fucking pretty much tore up because it's just chaos. But I don't know what they be thinking. I'll be sitting there like, you're freaking kidding me. Like, this is a middle school. We're already approaching like 1,200 kids at a middle school, and the summer hasn't even started yet. That people like, hey, let me move over into this area, or let me say my child lives here, stays with his grandmother that lives close to but we live in Baltimore City, so that you may add on another 150 kids, whatever. But the powers that be, I don't know where the fuck they be hanging out at or what they do, but these formulas that they got, it ain't working. It ain't working. But this is the dilemma that people that's like in the mix have to deal with. So trouble is coming. It's brewing. What's going on, Doc?
Hey, what's going on, fellas? I want to come up and contribute something to this. I'm going to try to be brief. Before I jump in, Herb, I'm trying to finish my joint too.
Yeah.
David wrote the foreword for part 1, so I know he wants to see it done. And I took a writing class one time, and I remember the instructor told us that you hit a phase where you just keep adding stuff, and you just have to stop. I mean, this morning I woke up and I say, you know what? That should go in there too. So it's like you hit this point where, depending upon what you wrote, I wrote kind of epic, and you kind of get to a point where you just have to stop. But I'm at a point now where I'm studying all the dimensions in Amazon KDP, and I'm doing a final scrub to get all the errors out. I already paid for an editor, but editors don't catch everything. I realize that. So you gotta always have to be back after them and make sure everything is gone. But yeah, I'm kind of where you are. This one took a while. I mean, a lot of authors say it takes about 10 years. I know Chris Webber said his book took 12 years.
Wow.
Chris Webber said his book took 12 years. Robert Greene, the author, Dr. Robert Glover of No More Mr. Nice Guy, his first book took him 10 years. So it can take a while. And mine is a 2-parter, but there's a lot of research that went into it. And I have a day job. You have a day job. You have family commitments, personal stuff. That comes up. So it's definitely not a straight line. But I'm close. So.
And that was my saving grace. I didn't need to do research. Most of what I wrote is just from observation. So, there's no charts, no graphs. Everything is just written out. I came up with a couple different concepts and incorporated them in there. And I just gave some examples. So for me, it isn't as involved as something that you're doing. Now I'm looking at something else that's coming down the pipe, and I'm saying, and it's involving use, and David will probably be a great asset from when I do this, as well as me having to dig in and do some research. But charts and graphs, because that's what the editor was asking me, and I told this to David earlier. He was looking for a protagonist antagonist angle, and I said, this is not that kind of book. This is just a book that's a blueprint for people who are dating, who want to be able to figure out if the individual that's sitting across for them is somebody that they want to continue to see. And this is the analogy that I gave David that I'll present to you. Just imagine if you're going on a date. Take whatever it is that you make per hour, and let's say that the individual you ask on a date has to compensate you for your time. Do you think that individual is going to waste that time? Probably not. They're going to be straightforward with you, which is what we want on a date. We don't want to go out on a date to waste our time, to have somebody sit across from us and lie to us. But most people can't figure that out. Everybody's always talking about, well, I'm afraid that I'm going to meet somebody's representative. Well, this book is designed to help you eliminate that, because you have a lot of people that are afraid to get up from an engagement and say, you know what, you're not for me, and just walk away. They're afraid they're going to miss something. And I'm writing this book to be able to empower people to do just that. If something is off, the vibe ain't right, or you're just better off as being friends or acquaintances or business partners, hey, say that. Say it with no compunction, no fear, and be okay with that. A lot of people aren't. And, you know, this is the loneliness aspect that David was talking about. Some people would rather be miserable together than happy by themselves. People have to figure out what it is that they want going into a date, a relationship, or whatever it is. Because if an individual doesn't know what they want, you can settle for anything. And that's part of why people are so disappointed and displeased when they go out. They don't know what they want. And then they say, well, this individual was this and this and this. Well, you didn't have an inkling before you went on a date with him? No. You didn't ask? No. Why not? Stop. We're adults here. It's the book Alan Roger Curry wrote, Mode 1. If you want sex, hey, put it on the table. If you don't, put that on the table. Let them decide, but give them the information so they're making the conscientious decision. I always say, I want information so I can make an informed decision. Nothing more, nothing less. But when you're going out, enjoy yourself. Don't put that pressure on yourself. Don't be out there like Atlas trying to hold up the world. You're not Atlas. You're you. Be you. Enjoy the excursion. This is why, you know, David in the Sipping Dips always asks, best date. Lunch date. You got no time for the BS. You in, you out. You get on with life. If you like what that person presented in the 15, 20, half an hour time frame you have, then you make a date to go out to dinner. And I know some panel members, former panel members say, don't take nobody out on a dinner date. And hey, look, if you can't stand the rain, bring an umbrella. Because me personally, I vet well. So I have no problem taking somebody on a dinner date. But mind you, the people that I take on a dinner date, they're well vetted. So I don't have a problem.
Well, I think I'll just say that because I know the show's not about that, but I mean, hours have been spent on that topic. And I think that the fact that it takes hours to discuss that, it's a testament to how far things have spun off from where they used to be. And I'll use that as a jumping off point. I'm going to come back to it. Daphne was making some good points about immigration, but you guys were saying some things about the young guys today, and them not knowing what to say, or them not knowing how to comport themselves and relate to girls. I watch a lot of content. I go outside of the Black YouTube manosphere sphere. I go all over the place, and I watch a lot of economists and writers and authors, and I watch a lot of stuff. And one of the guys I like watching is Dr. Jonathan Haidt. I don't know if you're familiar with him. But he wrote a book. I can't think of the name of the book, but his whole thing is how technology, how these smartphones have changed everything. And he studies how he's got a lot of really good talks online about how right around 2012, when the iPhone and the Android were introduced, that changed the lives of young people. Okay. Girls in particular started spending more time on social media, on Instagram, and the reading of books plummeted. Okay. And it just changed a lot of things that were normal. So they don't interact just by virtue of having these around and being on social media, and young people don't interact, and they're socialized very differently than we were. So that's one thing. And so another gentleman who's been making the rounds, Professor Scott Galloway, Dr. T.S.I. Johnson's been a little critical of him and guys like Richard Reeves. One of the things Professor Scott Galloway talks about is young men need to learn how to take chances. So that's one thing that a lot of young men are missing out on now. Herb, you talked about Ron Wills earlier, speaking to saying hi to at least three ladies a day. That's part of his recipe. But there's something there. There's something to, well, there was something there to being able to physically speak and assert yourself in public, okay, in real life. And now, for a lot of people, the young people in particular, everything is on here. So they don't know, the young men don't know how to take those risks in a healthy way. But it's also, as you described, it's also a little dangerous today because you don't know how that's going to be received, even if you do it in a classy way. Okay, and we're in this post Me Too era where what's safe to do now. So a lot of things have changed. Now, what I wanted to say, and Daphne kind of got to this with her comment about the immigrants. I was going to do a TikTok today and tell everybody that I think this country's got much bigger problems than Donald Trump. I don't want to make this political. I don't want to make this political. I don't want to make this about him. But last Thursday when those what do you call them? Those 34 charges. When those dropped, the entire news cycle was engulfed. Okay, and I went to happy hour, and folks were looking at the TVs, and folks were high-fiving, and folks were feeling good that they got those 34 charges on him. But I think most people don't see what's really going on. Most people don't see why these immigrants are being brought here. Okay. I was watching a talk with another gentleman named Nicholas Eberstadt. He wrote Men Without Work. Okay. And Herb was nodding his head because at a certain point, there has been a growing population of young, able-bodied men who have fallen out of the workforce. They have no desire to work. They have no desire to work. Okay. They're spending a lot of time in front of screens, according to him. And they don't have a good reason to go out and earn a living. Okay. Part of that is social. Part of that is, well, then that gets to the question of what's a man's motivation for going out and working, okay, and earning money. And if you take that away, if you take away a traditional family and children from young men, you are taking away their purpose for going and putting in work and earning a living or going to school. So that's going on. Okay. So folks don't know that that's going on. Now, Mr. Eberstadt also said earlier that there's a growing number of women who are now joining that, who are falling out of the workforce and who don't have a desire to work. Okay. And what that's going to do, those people will still need to be fed. Those people will still need healthcare. okay, those people will still consume. So that's younger people.
Mhm.
We're headed towards a place where, with the low uh, replacement rate, we're heading towards a place where there are going to be more older people in this country
Yep.
than younger people.
Mhm.
Okay. I don't know if the subscribers on this show like Elon Musk. I don't even know if they know who he is. But he's been very outspoken about this. Okay. And we're at a point where he's getting pushed back, about people having children. So what I'm saying is that the title of the show is the cost of growing. What is it? The cost of
The cost of the society being single and the cost of society long term.
right. So if you don't have a family or a support system or some provision in place to take care of you, that's going to cost everybody.
Mhm.
Okay. And we're kind of headed towards a place where there are going to be more older people in this country than younger people. I think that happened in Japan.
Yes.
And we're just every day we're being redirected. We're being told to look at the wrong direction, And everybody's like, "Yay, Trump got, charged, and Trump's not gonna." Well, first of all, you don't know if he's not gonna be. You don't know if he's gonna be able to run yet. So I want to make this about him, but my point is people are not seeing what's really going on. Okay,
Yeah.
and I know that hearing reports of people pouring over the southern border, that does make me a little angry that our leaders, our current leadership would allow that, but at the same time, there's an economic incentive to do that because this economy, it needs bodies, it needs workers, it needs tax dollars, and the country is one big Ponzi scheme, and you need more people on the bottom paying in than you have people at the top taking out, and that's kind of hanging in the balance right now, and that's a major reason why they're doing this. So there is a cost. Everything is a cost. I mean, you say no to one thing, you say yes to one thing, you're saying no to something else. So if you choose, and it wasn't. I don't think in my parents' day, the I can do bad by myself thing. I don't think that was a thing. I mean, I think when we were coming of age, that's when the I don't need a man thing started.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and I know the boomers in my family, they're looking around and they're wondering why so many people are single, why so many Gen Xers are single. A lot of this environment was curated and a lot of things were put into place. I don't know if people foresaw these types of things happening 30 or 40 years ago, but a lot of these things were put into place. We're the only animal species on the planet that's arguing over what a man and a woman is and who's supposed to do what. We're the only species on the planet that's doing something like this.
Yeah.
And we might not see the end of this. I mean, the three of us here, we may see the start of it.
Yeah.
But it's a real thing. I mean, I don't want to say this is going to become I Am Legend with Will Smith, where New York is completely there are weeds growing everywhere and all the buildings are abandoned. But people, you gotta look at what's going on. And our political leaders are not being upfront about it.
So, no, they're not. They're obfuscating the realities of what you just alluded to, as well as the negative, the almost negative birth rate that the United States has. From one of the things I read is that there's a 2 to 3% decrease yearly in the birth rate. And for people who don't understand what that means, let me put it in economic terms for you. Let's say that every year you live, you earn 2 to 3% less. What do you think your family is going to do in 10 years? What will be your purchasing power in 10 years? That's what we're facing. And that's what Dr. Dunbar is talking about when he says our government officials are not being forthright. All you have to do is look at the places around you. I'm here in Niagara Falls. So I walk around and I see the destruction that was set in place when I graduated high school, which was in the early 90s. And I see the effects of what a lack of foresight and government can do to a municipality. I see it. I don't have to wait for it. I walk outside and I see the difference between myself, and I don't consider myself to be a wealthy individual. I'm a working class person just like everybody else that lives in my neighborhood. But I go 2 blocks west, 3 blocks north. Well, I'd have to go more than 3 blocks north. I'd probably have to go about a mile, but that's towards the section of the town where the income is. But I go east. Oh my gosh. This place in some aspects looks like a second class country. Boarded up homes, overstrewn fields, trash everywhere. You wouldn't think this is a place that has millions upon millions of people visiting it. And to put it into another perspective, Daphne was talking about budget freezes and everything. We just had our school board election last month. Our district has a budget of roughly $185 million. The city of Niagara Falls roughly has a budget of about $110 million. Look at the disparity between the two. And then we still have a problem with educating the students in this city to the point where they're viable employees. That's the bigger problem. When you couple inflation and the inability to earn, you create the lower class that Dr. Dunbar was talking about, and they still have to eat and be cared for. So when you have a demographic that can't feed themselves and a demographic that is aging and has already done what they're supposed to do in terms of working, you create people that draw from your tax base and you don't have enough money to take care of them. That's a recipe for chaos.
Yeah. So, hey, David, can I make 2 more points? And then I'm going to hop off.
Yeah, you good. Go ahead.
Look at me using my Buffalo voice. I'm going to hop off. I'm going to hop off. It's all sobering to talk about, but if people are not familiar with it, there's a gentleman named Stephen J. Shaw who made a documentary called Birth Gap. I haven't watched it yet.
Okay. But
this is not just happening in the United States. It's happening in the Western countries. And the thing is, here's the interesting thing. You could pull immigrants from other countries, but eventually that supply is going to run out. Right. And there's something about there are the mouse utopia experiments. Mm-hmm. I'm sure, Herb, you've heard of that.
Absolutely.
There's the mouse utopia experiments. And there's something about when things get too comfortable, children don't become necessary. They become a bit of a luxury. Okay. And then capitalism. I don't know if you guys know Diamond David Williams. I interviewed him once. He's a financial guy, a financial and culture guy. But one of the things he said once, I have a different look on capitalism now, because capitalism, it's always gonna look. You know what? I believe in innovation, and I believe in. We're all authors and aspiring authors here. We all believe in the right to make a dollar and to create something and to benefit from that. But on the corporate sense, it's always going to chase profit, and regardless of what the casualties are. So when they instituted NAFTA, a lot of our industries went overseas because it was cheaper to make those goods overseas. And then domestically, if you incentivize both genders to not work together and live under one roof, and if you incentivize consumption without, how should I say this? If you incentivize living separately, getting two dwellings, 2 cars, and not necessarily being together and creating a family, you're going to maximize profits, but you may also lead to society collapsing.
Correct.
Okay, that's where I was going with that. So I have a new outlook on what capitalism is and what it does. Yeah.
Yeah, throwing some whole economics topic out here for these folks, whatever. And I don't think people really, on average, even think about any of this that's being said on a day-to-day basis. They only deal with stuff that's trending, and I think that's part of the problem of not having any awareness of like the bigger picture. So
Well, David, as we just described, it's okay. Yeah, Trump's got 34 charges. People are intentionally being herded and refocused on certain things while not looking at other things. Now, some responsibility does fall on the citizen to be curious, but a lot of people are not curious. A lot of people, they believe what they see on MSNBC and CNN and Fox, and folks don't leave their neighborhoods, or they just go to their church, and that's where they get their information. And they depending upon where you come from, you might distrust information if it comes from a white person, So a lot of people are living in their own cocoons, in their own little bubbles.
Yeah, because their vision is, all they see is like, oh, Donald Trump's gonna be in jail, whatever. Which, like, yeah, okay.
And for those watching this, my intent was not to politicize this. This is not a pro-Trump discussion. That's just a current event, and my point was that people's eyes are kind of being redirected over here, and they're not looking at the entirety of what's going on.
It's a go ahead, Dave.
And I think people like to do that because they like to escape what's really going on in their world. So instead of like locking down and focusing on like, this is what I need to do to make my family better or my situation better, they get caught up in all of this stuff, social media. The people that get really locked in, they usually cut all that stuff off and say, I don't even want to read or see any of this stuff. I need to focus on myself and do what I need to do. And those are the ones that make changes. But the ones who are still on this day-to-day stuff, seeing what's trending and all that stuff, and they're trying to make change, nothing ever changes probably.
I'll go ahead, Doc.
I was gonna, Herb, you go ahead, then I'm gonna hop off.
I was gonna say people detest rap, but I'm gonna say what Jay-Z said in the song. He said, those who don't understand is higher than the percentage that do. Check yourself. What percentage are you?
Okay. Well, I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna hop off. Everybody, David said we got into this economics discussion. At the end of the day, most things in this country revolve around economics, politics, the communities we live in, the budgets of cities like Niagara Falls and DC. it's everything's economics. You know,
Oh, no.
we don't look at it that way, but everything's
Oh,
economics.
I wasn't saying it as it wasn't a good topic because that's what drive relationships and a lot of things is economics and money. If you with somebody and all of a sudden things ain't how it used to be and it's two broke individuals looking at each other, that's going to change the dynamics of everything. So that's just real that people need to be informed on that. But you know, we know how
Now,
it goes.
Geico just increased my car insurance premium again, man.
I thought
So
at a certain,
I second that, David. I second that.
I thought
Anyway,
at a certain
fellas,
point when you get a certain age, your insurance supposed to be pretty much to nothing, but this shit
well,
still just keep going up.
economics. I mean, everybody,
Yeah.
they're these are hard financial times. Car thefts are up, especially in the DC area. And so
Yeah.
stresses are coming in on everybody. I mean,
Yep.
everybody where you least expect it at the grocery store, your car insurance, McDonald's. You see, folks are kind of falling back from McDonald's now, and Starbucks, and even more affluent people are going back to shop at Walmart now. It's
Yeah.
coming in to get it. It's coming in to get everybody.
And speaking of which, we've had a slew of Rite Aid. Matter of fact, Rite Aids have been closing. I think Red Lobsters have been closing around here. It is coming through like a sickle through grass, and nothing, virtually no one is being spared. This is why we're talking about this, because a lot of people think that their individual's decision doesn't really have any negative consequences. And yes, literally speaking, one person not reproducing isn't a problem. But when you get millions upon millions of people who aren't reproducing, that takes some teeth out of the cog. And the cog doesn't spin like it should. And when the cog doesn't spin like it should, you have people in positions of authority, i.e., government and policymakers. They're going to say, okay, we got to retool this so we can get these teeth back together again. So if that means they got to tax the middle class, which is virtually non-existent now, to keep things going, guess what they're going to do? They're going to tax the middle class. So if it costs more to get goods to market, you're going to see that reflected in the prices on the store shelves. This is why a gallon of milk costs almost a gallon of orange juice costs almost $5. I went and looked, and I really don't buy orange juice like that. I was like, oh my gosh, are you serious? 3 or 4 years ago, a gallon of orange juice, $2, $3. Now it's $5. A gallon of gas, almost $4. I'm grateful that I don't have to drive to work. I still can use pedal power in the wintertime. I can walk. I'm fortunate, and that's never lost upon me. But like Dr. Dunbar said, because of issues due to vehicle theft, car insurance is going up. Just imagine what it's like living in San Francisco, where it almost seems like lawlessness in certain situations is allowed. They're not even going after petty criminals. So what do you do when you live in a city like that, where you can't really defend yourself against this nonsense? And people they're saying, smash, grab, and they're gone.
Yeah.
It makes it impossible to stay in business. And that has a domino effect.
Yeah. Well, whoever just came up, I'm not leaving because you came up, but hey, Senator Chuck Schumer, for you New Yorkers out there, Chuck Schumer gave a speech flanked by various Latin American officials. He talked about what this is all about months ago. So, guys, it was good. David, I love that hat. It's a cold hat. And I'll talk to you guys later.
All right, Doc.
Peace.
All right.
All right.
So who joined us? Sweetie. Who was Sweetie?
Anita.
You come with these different names. So you got the Kim with some consistent names.
Well, you should see Buddy. You should know Buddy's little cute face.
I never met Buddy.
He's always on here with me. Yeah, because Facebook is acting real brand new with StreamYard, I guess. I don't know. So I guess I'm on through YouTube. I'm not sure. Anyway, how's everybody doing?
We all
I
right. Just chopping it up about different stuff that impacts everything that certain people just don't think that it has any value to. Uh, and obviously, economics and all that's going to always be a part of relationships, whether people believe it or not. Is in we're getting hit. We're getting hit in different areas, like Anwar said, insurance and at the grocery store, gas, like everything. You're getting hit, and it's like they're coming up with just different stuff, whatever. And every turn around, everything is so high price, but our cost of living that's not it's not showing in our paychecks or anything like that. So people, we gotta try to work it out. We gotta try to work it out, and I think that's the most difficult thing to differentiate the social and the financial aspect. Like, how do you bring all of that into one?
and the only thing I can say is people our age, we we probably won't feel the full force of it, but Gen Zs and the millennials, they're already seeing the effects. This is why most of them say, "Look, we're not having kids. It's too expensive. We can't even afford to go out and rent an apartment." That's why a lot of them are staying home, with their parents longer. And it's not a surprise to people who are clued in, people that, you know, like Dr. Dunbar said, are diversified in what they watch on YouTube and the various podcasts. I've even branched out into watching more relationship content. There's and I'll share this with people so people are aware of what else I've been occupying my time with in the last 2 weeks. There's an individual called Chris Williamson. He has people that are come from all walks of life. He's an individual I've gotten into. And then there's another individual I believe that goes by the name of A Diary of a CEO. Both of them um, cover a lot of different things. Those are people who I've added to my rotation along with BGS and people from the Manosphere as well. I'm never going to stray for that because they keep me grounded in what a lot of men are struggling with. I don't personally, I don't struggle with those things. I don't struggle with dating. I don't struggle with uh, child support issues, marriage concerns. For me, that's young people stuff. That's unfortunately that's the stuff that they have to navigate because I'm not producing any children. Before anybody says anything about I don't have a say so in that, a say so in that, please miss me with that. Because I'm in direct control of what I do. So I'm not even considering that nonsense argument. That's for people who don't understand how I navigate the world. I'm 52 with no kids. That's not by mistake. So people, who get caught up in all of that nonsense about me, I don't even worry. But there's a lot of people that are coming behind us that don't know what to do. They want to have a family because they understand that security long term for them in case they do fall ill. But we have a growing generation of people who swear that being single is the way to go. Well, it is until you need help. And if you don't have family there to assist, potentially in a nursing home you go. And what happens when that nursing home is short staffed? They don't have people there to take care of you.
Well,
Nobody there to dispense meds.
one of the things is also I look at some of these younger people. It's probably well within their rights to say I don't want to have kids because, and I often tell them like, oh, it's time to be selfish. Do what you got to do, uh, live your life because they know that they might not have those nurturing skills or it depends on your upbringing of what you saw in your household. So some young mothers, some dads don't know how to be parents. I mean, there's no manual for it. A lot of it is just what you saw based on experiences, your gut instincts. But some of these people, you applaud them and say, don't have kids. Keep pushing. Keep doing what you got to do because it may not end up. It's probably going to end up being somebody else's problem.
Yeah.
Or headache, and I think a lot of it, that's the problem now, where you see in schools where mothers abandon their children and they're with the grandparents. But now the grandparents, they don't know technology like that. They don't know how to check the grading system and every day that the kids' assignments and their updated grades is on there. They don't know how to get on that. And the only way they know how to get on if the kid tells them that, but they'll say, "Shit, granny, grandpa, they don't know what the fuck going on here." So I'm gonna tell them I ain't got no homework, I ain't got nothing going on. I'm gonna be on my video game. I'm gonna do this and do that, and it's sad. And what can you do? And these kids manipulate that situation. Meanwhile, you have these older, elderly people taking care of younger people, and meanwhile, mom and dad out there on drugs and living a fucking life. It's not fair. In which it'll probably hinder those kids when they get older, and they start potentially making families. They're not gonna have the necessary skill set uh, to be successful. So all this stuff just is like a cycle of stuff that just go on that oftentimes we say, well, if it don't bother us, if it don't impact me directly, I ain't gonna worry about it. But it will eventually catch up with you, and we all feel it. Anita, what's good? You got something to say?
I'm listening.
Okay.
No, not really. I'm just pondering like what would be some approaches to tackling this issue.
There really isn't anything, because this is more of a systemic issue that's being compounded by personal choice. And essentially what that is this: like David said, the younger generation is not having any kids. Those are personal choices. And like I said, when you get millions upon millions of people who are deciding that, public policy has to step in to address that. And part of what we see with public policy is putting these migrants in places where, and like Dr. Dunbar said, I don't want to make this political, but look at the places where they're putting these migrants at. They're putting them in big cities. They're not putting them in the Midwest, where there's plenty of land for them to occupy. They're putting them in places like New York, Chicago. They're importing them from Miami to other places. These are Democratic strongholds. So what happens when these people become of age and they become able to vote? Who do you think they're going to vote for? Think they're going to vote for Republicans who didn't want to see them in the city? In this country, or they're going to vote for Democrats who are rolling out the red carpet? See, this is the sinister nature that people aren't aware of because they're not politically in tune, and they don't understand how all this comes out in the wash. So now that these migrants have gotten here and they understand a few things, I'm not saying they understand everything, they understand a few things about how they were able to come, and they'll say, well, I'm going to vote Democrat. Why would I vote anything else? Why would I vote against the people that have helped me get here and have helped me get money in my pocket and helped me bring my family members here? All the while, they keep spending themselves into a tax deficit. So who do you think pays for that? You guessed it, people like you and I, people who have been born here, people who have worked here, people who have served in the military. We have homeless veterans now that can't get care, but we allow migrants come in by the hundreds, and they're put in places, they're housed, they're fed. Meanwhile, there's a veteran homeless crisis.
Ain't that something?
So when we talk about these things, it's because we want people to open their eyes and start understanding the long-term ramifications of their decision making. No one straw breaks a camel's back, but you put a million straws on that camel's back, that back will break. And this is what we're witnessing, but people are too caught up in their day-to-day grind and whatever else to say, oh, I don't care, it doesn't affect me. Okay. What about your son? What about your grandchildren? Care about them? Better start doing something now. Better start looking at things now.
And I think just sitting here strolling through, looking also on my phone, it was somebody just posted, and it kind of signified everything we talked about with like technology and dating and all that. They said, okay, I changed my mind. There's too many of y'all getting in my inbox. I'd rather stay single. I'm sorry. Thank you anyways. So this is the mindset of people. So they're basing on staying single because of people that's in their inbox, where it could very well be someone that you could actually meet face to face, that you would have to go through that, but they're basing everything on their inbox and too many people being. So this is the world that we're living in, and a lot of people is basing it on social media and stuff like that, of people being in their inbox or people trying to holler. But when you get somebody face to face, eyeballing you, and they letting you know that they care about you, they're interested in you, and you see it, you don't want that. He looked at me. He was looking. He's weird, whatever the case is. So here you have it, and then y'all will sit
Why
back and
y'all
say,
gotta bring the women like like that? How about the men being
I didn't say anything. Women, men. I never mentioned any gender of what this is, but this is what we're basing stuff on.
I'll answer that question in this particular way. Take a baseball game. What do you need in order to have a baseball game work?
a team?
What do you need in order to make, you got two teams, two players on both sides. What do you need to start that game?
Equipment?
You have all of that. What do you need to start the game?
Time?
You have everything that you need.
Damn it, Herbert, just tell me. Stop asking me.
No, because you always want to be told as opposed to trying to figure it out. That's the problem that we have in this country, is people don't want to sit there and say, well, how does this work? How does a baseball game work? What do you need in order to start a baseball game? What action do you need?
The will to play?
What action do you need to start a baseball game? What has to happen for a baseball game to happen?
There has to be some planning.
A bat and a ball.
What action has to happen?
I don't know, Herbert.
Well, how does a baseball game start?
With the national anthem.
How does a baseball game start? All of that's out of the way. You got a batter in the batter's box. What do you need?
A pitcher?
So if a man is not throwing the first pitch, then do you have a baseball game?
No.
And this is why we talk about women, because men are pitching and women aren't playing. You can't have a baseball game if batters don't swing at a pitch. It gets rather boring. And this is why men saying, you know what? We're just not going to play anymore. This is why we talk about women. People keep acting as if this is a male-dominated issue. It is not. Men have been chastised for approaching. We talked about this at the top of the show. Ooh, he's creepy. I don't like him. There's a television show, or I'm sorry, not a television show. There's a podcast where men and women alike get to decide if they want to talk to somebody based on appearance before they even say anything to each other. They're popping balloons. What kind of
Oh, I saw
nonsense is
that.
What kind of nonsense is that? You're discriminating against somebody on the basis of what they look like, and you haven't even heard them speak. You haven't spoken to them. This is the society that we currently live in, and then we wonder why people are rejecting people outright. But the people who are crying the most about it aren't men. Men are saying, okay, you know what? We're going to get a passport to go somewhere else, and we're just not going to date. But you hear women on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram decrying about the lack of men that are out there that are dateable. It's not men. It's not men who are driving that. Men can only do so much. So if a man is willing to engage a woman, but that woman is not willing to reciprocate, then how do men consistently bear the brunt of the blame when they've done everything that they're supposed to do?
Because they're not doing everything that they're supposed to do, obviously. And hold on, not everybody, but what you're talking about is people that are influenced by TikTok, these digital creators, social media, stuff like that. Come on.
There are more women.
There is more in the world. There's more to dating and life than following celebrities and all that garbage.
So who's more inclined to do that, men or women?
Both.
Who's more inclined to be influenced by Hollywood, men or women?
Men.
You'd be wrong.
At first, women, because they see what is going on, right? And then they think that it's what guys want to see. Like the whole twerking thing, okay?
Go ahead.
So Taylor Terry and Chris Brown. Taylor Terry, she's hot. I mean, I give it to her. Okay. I'll say the backup singer for Chris Brown.
Okay, now
her twerking, right? And it appears as though Chris Brown is looking at her like that's what he wants to see. That's what turns him on. So what do you think these young women who are influenced by that do?
And that's precisely my comment. You don't have men who are saying this is what we want. So no matter what men
not
say,
per se, but if it appears that's what a man wants, then a woman is gonna act like that.
But this is what I'm telling you when I say women are more influenced by social media than men. We could sit here and watch 1,000 things and say that's fine to look at, but that's not what we want to marry. Women will tell us differently.
So a couple years ago, I had made this post after some research that I had came up with, and it said research says that, and don't ask me where it's from with all that because I don't fucking know. So don't ask me at this time. But it said research says that men are more likely to use social media to seek information, while women use social platforms to connect with people. Studies also show when men do open social media accounts to network, they are more often looking to form new relationships, while women are more focused on sustaining existing ones. So what does this really mean to you?
What's it mean to you?
Simply put, men are not chasing what they see. But because women have the mindset that that's what men want, that's what they are putting out there. Like I said prior, men are sitting here saying, we don't want women with high body counts. We don't want women who are parading themselves around dressed as sluts. We don't want this. We don't want that. And women are saying, that's not what we see.
Correct.
How can a man combat what a woman has in here when she's not willing to listen to what goes in here? If I tell an individual,
It's a complete circle. Because
it's not.
This been going on since way back. It's nothing new. It's just more prevalent now because of social media. It used to be on Love and Hip Hop, MTV, the old rap videos.
Who watches those shows?
I think everybody. I don't know.
Women.
Nice try. Nice try. You know who watch it. Women.
Stay at home, Dad.
Damn shows.
Yeah.
Men do not watch them shows.
Okay. Yes, they do. I know men who
They do, but they it may be some, but it's majority of women that put that in their schedule. Oh, I gotta watch my show. I gotta watch my show, and all of that stuff. That's
men are not lining up for that nonsense.
Women gathering their information.
Okay.
From.
Forget Love and Hip Hop. Okay, forget that. Who? So
You about to go down a rabbit hole, Anita?
no, I'm not. No, I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
I'm talking about who's the guy with the big clock
The
necklace?
Flavor of Love, men didn't watch that show either.
I'm asking a question.
The Flavor of Love, Flavor Flav. I know what you're talking about.
Okay, Flavor Flav. Okay, I think that show is disgusting anyway.
But watched it. Men didn't watch that.
But even though it's disgusting, there's still young ladies who think that that's the norm because it's put out there on social media.
Mm-hmm.
But hold on, who's influenced by rap? By rap music?
Do you want the honest answer?
Yeah.
Caucasian people.
Why do you think that?
Because they purchase it more than anyone else.
In the 80s, who do you think was influenced?
Everybody's influenced.
Men, women, or both?
Both.
Exactly. So from the 80s, the videos from the 80s show women fawning over men, and men are the prize, and women dressing scandalous. That's what society, it's a social construction. That's what people think, that's what women think. Well, young ladies think that's what guys look for. So it's a vicious circle. It doesn't start with women. It doesn't just start with women or young ladies or the family unit. It starts with social media and the social construction. Because if there wasn't songs calling females bitch, hoe, and people thinking that's cool, but then there's these love songs like, I'll Be Sure, and like the country love songs. And then guys are like, oh, that's for Sims or, wimps or whatever you want to call it. Like, do you think guys are going to act like that if they're being clowned out by their friends? No, even though that's gentlemanlike, and that's, there's a certain way that men and women should interact with each other, and it's not calling each other bitch, hoe, bruh. Like, when did this whole calling your boyfriend and girlfriend bruh come from? Like, really? I think that is just craziness.
But who does that? Who?
I see it all. I see it all over.
Who do you see it from?
What do you mean, both?
Who? Not necessarily, not gender. You say you see it all over from who? Your friends?
Not my friends.
So
no.
Where do you see it at?
On social media. What do you mean, where?
That's what we're telling you, is everything that you're basing on comes from social media. It doesn't come from real world interactions.
All right, pipe down a little bit.
But we keep reiterating that what you see and you comment on is
What I'm
reality.
commenting on is that's how these younger generation people think that they should interact with each other.
But
I know the difference. I'm just saying these younger generation, say 10 years younger than me, say in their 30s, 20s, whatever. They think that's appropriate. They think that's the norm because social media is making it seem like it's the norm. So it doesn't start with women. It's
but
not
this is something we talked about earlier in the
it's a
broadcast.
whole cycle. It's a whole circle. It's a whole cycle
All right, let me
of,
ask you this thing.
problem.
Let me ask you this thing. If we were to take away cell phones, who do you think would be more lost, men or women?
I don't know.
Women.
Women, you think?
Because as David just said, they use social media to build relationships.
What age group are we talking
It doesn't
about?
matter the age group. Take whatever age group you want.
Okay, 50s.
How often do you see women without a cell phone in their hand?
I don't really see either one without cell phones in their hand.
Okay, that's fine.
Where did I go the other day? I don't know where I went the other day. I was sitting there eating, or waiting for food or whatever, and this couple was right next to each other, both on their cell phone. I'm like,
you said the
really?
magic word. You said couple.
I don't know if they were a couple, but they appeared to be together on a date or friends or whatever. They weren't talking to each other. That's what I'm trying to get at. They weren't talking to each other. So this is the whole digital technology that is ruining relationships and society, even though they think it's good inventions. Yeah, it's good for some things like New York City. Yeah, it's good to download the subway app and see where you're at. If Google Map actually works where you're at.
I think this that even before social media and all that, women need more human interaction with each other on a regular basis.
Yep.
Y'all talk to your best friends every day, all day. Guys can go months without talking to their homeboy or whatever. And when we do connect, we might have a get together. We may be out for a couple hours or talk on the phone for a couple hours, but that's just during that time, and then we'll go another 2 or 3 months without that conversation. Y'all have to do it all day, every day, and y'all are the ones are the most impacted by social media because y'all have to just can't let it go. Just can't let it go. And guys, we locked in, we can let it go. We can step away from it because we don't need that interaction on a regular basis as much as women do.
Okay, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's men and women are just built different. We bring a piece of the pie, y'all bring a piece of the pie. Yes, women are social creatures, and inherently humans in general are social creatures. We're not meant to be isolated and live on top of the mountain by ourselves.
Yes,
loneliness will drive you crazy. Like, what's that one movie with Tom Hanks and his volleyball? Loneliness will drive you insane.
I can't remember the name of the movie, but I don't know what you're speaking of.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're saying.
That's what I'm saying.
The whole line flat, the whole withdrawn from society is because men don't see themselves fitting in society. In society.
Why not? What part of men don't fit into society, and why?
They're being rejected.
Give me some examples.
They're being rejected by women because women don't think they're attractive enough. Women don't think they're financially secure enough. Women don't find them desirable. Those are 3 things right there that 30, 40 years ago was never an issue
And why was that?
because
Because there was, because what?
because women now have access to what they think they are worthy of. And this is why they keep talking about men are non-committal, men sleep around, men this. It's because
And they do.
Okay. And it's because of the men that they're looking to mate with are doing that, which is only about 25% of the male population. The other 75% is invisible to that woman. That's why
25% is what?
only 25% in most women's view is viable for them. This
And
is why.
Why? Why?
Because those are the women's standards.
Which are?
They want a man that fits a certain physical build. They want a man that earns a certain amount of money. They want a man that ticks off all of their boxes, no matter how crazy they might be, before they actually even consider doing anything with that man. Like I said, that's about 25% of the male population. I'm being very generous when I say that. The other 75% of those men, those women don't see. So yes,
I would disagree with you. I would strongly disagree with you. I guess it depends on age, like I said, age groups.
It doesn't matter.
Social influencers.
All of that is immaterial.
How is that immaterial?
Why do you think men aren't dating? We're not even talking about having sex. We're talking about just dating. Men are not going out meeting women. Period. Men have checked out of society in that regard. Why do you think governments worldwide are concerned? I mentioned this earlier. Go look at the 4B movement in Korea, in South Korea.
The what?
The 4B movement. The number 4, the letter B. The 4B. I'll send you some information.
Just give me a quick overview.
Women in Korea are saying that we don't have to have kids. We don't have to do this. And the men are saying, you know what? You are absolutely correct. We're going to go to the Philippines. We're going to go to other countries in the Asian diaspora and get wives. So what happens when these women get too old to care for themselves? They have no family, no kids. Who's going to provide for them?
I mean, same thing with men. Who's going to provide for them if they're single because they don't want to date?
You missed what I said.
I didn't miss what you said.
Sure you did. I said
I did not. No, I did not. I didn't miss what you said whatsoever.
I said those men are going other places to get wives.
I heard that.
Well,
my question was, all these single men that aren't being bothered with women, what about when they get old and crusty and got ED and nobody wants, and no woman wants them?
Newsflash.
And all they have is either money or...
That has never been a concern for society. When has a man being homeless, being unable to physically perform in any capacity been a concern for society?
I don't know, because I haven't thought about it.
Exactly.
I haven't thought about it as a woman because I'm a woman. No kidding, Herbert. So who's going to take care of your ass when you're old and crusty?
Listen.
You ain't got no kids. You ain't got a wife. If you're dating, you're dating. If you don't have a girlfriend, you don't. I mean, I'm sure your homeboys will be, happy to step up and help you out. I'm saying it's the same thing with men. I'm asking who's going to take care of the men that don't have passports, that don't want to go overseas for a wife, and don't want to bother with women.
You're missing it, and I'll let you speak for a moment. Give me a second, Dave. You're not getting it.
I'm getting it.
No, you're not.
I am getting it.
No one is going to take care of them. They're going to die.
Okay, well, women are going to die too then.
Yes.
If ain't nobody, so
society is not ready to see that, and that's what you're not grasping. Why do you think there's women's shelters in children's shelters. There are no male shelters.
There's male shelters.
Give me one. Give me the name.
There's one in downtown Niagara Falls. There's one in Buffalo.
That's exclusively for men. Men who are.
Yes. Exclusively for men.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
See, at the end of the day, when you get a certain age, I think this is the issue. Many, if you 40 and you 50 and you mentioned that at the top of the show, or we might have talked about that before we came on about dating apps and all that. If you're 40 and you 50 something and you chasing that silver bullet on a dating app, that shit may never happen. That's probably for a younger person generation. Probably what's going to happen when you're 40 and 50 and you connect with somebody is somebody you already fucking know. Somebody you already know or have some connective piece to it. And that's how things transpire. To be 50 something and say, oh, let me jump on this app and have to go through all the struggles, the 100 questions, and all of that stuff on top of your work day, still your adult children that's like freaking children, and all the other different things, to meet someone, to start over, to go through that process, the question and all that. Most people ain't signing up for that. So it's probably going to happen with somebody you already know, or it's going to be some connective piece that if you don't know them, it's some way, somehow you're connected to that individual, and that's how y'all probably end up together. Whether y'all want to believe it or not, y'all can believe in fairy tales and think that you're going to find someone out of the blue that's going to sweep you off your feet. How for the people that's waiting on that, let me know how that worked for you.
I'll let you know.
Let me know how that worked for you, because your ass will be playing old maids in a nursing home or whatever it is, goldfish.
Sometimes
and all
that might be more peaceful.
Connect Four and all that stuff is probably that person probably right in front of your face. But you ain't looking at it like that. It's probably right in front of your face.
Like I said, man, the long term ramifications, it's already been well documented that women outlive men.
Mm-hmm.
So who's going to provide care for all these aging women?
Well, Sir Ty asked me how was my cruise. It was all love, man. Always love. It was good. A lot of good connections and just enjoying time, whatever. Spending time with family, 7 whole days. That we don't spend 7 days together all day long, or we went together every moment. But a lot of times you plan everything, or we all over here. So it was, it was special. It was, makes me want to say, hey, maybe not a cruise, but maybe something else, cabins or something, 3, 4, 5 days or whatever the case is. But I understand the importance of it. I valued that time, and look forward to other times like that, because it's needed. Got to have it, because again, nothing's promised, and we need to have that time together.
Mm-hmm. So did you see any or talk to any women, get any numbers?
Nah, I didn't. That wasn't my. That wasn't my.
I know that wasn't the mission or the assignment. I'm just inquiring minds want to know.
What did I just say? Usually it's somebody you already know. I wasn't even focused on,
wasn't on your radar.
Trying to holler at somebody for what? I'm not about to say they're like, oh, I live in Atlanta or whatever the case is. I'm not about I'm not about to be going, doing that back and forth thing. So
Hey,
just
that's you. Some guys do, obviously.
yeah, well, clearly, but that's not. I'm talking about me. You asked about me. So it was no need for that. I seen some nice scenery. I seen some disappointing scenery. But all in all, I had a great time. That's all. I
That's
had a
good.
great time.
And where did you guys go?
It was the Bahamas, Nassau, Freeport, Princess Cays, just 7 days. More so anything, 7 days with your family all day, every day. And I think we don't typically get that. You might get a extended weekend. People die, you go to funerals, you might be there for 3 or 4
Mhm.
days, but 7 days. And before I was like 7 days is too long, but now I understand like it was not long enough. That after a while you desire more, and you just need it. You just want to be around more, even though and I never even got to the point that I wanted to throw somebody overboard because because a boat is big enough that you can make your moves or whatever. But no
Mhm.
matter what, people gonna message you, whatever, where you at, but it was all good. So that's all I gotta say. I encourage people to do that more often. You don't always gotta wait on the family reunion. Sometimes we gotta create our own opportunities to say, hey, this month I'm thinking about this. Who on board, and whoever's on board, just do it. Just got to do it. Can't wait for
Right.
family reunions every 2, 3 years, funerals to come together. You got to create moments. You got to be the creator.
Unfortunately, these days funerals are beginning to be the norm when people all gather and see each other all at the same time. And it's unfortunate, but yeah.
No, it just takes somebody that's want to be the leader and say, "Hey, this is what's happening right now. This is going on. Are you able to make it? Find the people that can make it. You might
Yeah.
not be able to make it every time, but you got to create opportunities. We got to be bigger creators that we just can't go for subpar stuff or just wait for funerals and stuff like that. We have to say, hey, man, I miss my family or I miss such and such. Hey, it's about that time. Let me see what's going on. Hey, I got this idea. Let's see, throw it out there and see who's gonna bite, and then you go with it.
Yeah, for anybody that was curious, I posted the link to the 4B movement, and you can check that out at your leisure if you like, just so people are aware. Because, like I said, this is, even though we tend to focus on a lot of what's going on in the United States, this is a global thing.
Mm-hmm.
The world is kind of in the midst of, especially industrialized countries, are in the midst of actually trying to figure this stuff out. And people are making moves and getting out, they're doing this, they're handling this that way. I'm not here to tell anyone what to do. Heaven forbid. I have no kids, so I don't take it upon myself to tell somebody what to do unless I'm in a position of authority. And here, I'm just here to disseminate information. I'm here to tell you what the long-term ramifications are of individuals in their decision making. Nothing more, nothing less. Do what you want to do. Just understand. I think it's Newton's second law of motion. For every reaction, there's an equal and opposite reaction. There's gonna be some reactions coming down the pipe, and hope you're ready to deal with them.
I'm looking at Greg comments. He said, you didn't use up the pickup line, David. No, I didn't use that line. I haven't used that line in years, whatever. But that line was a classic.
Which line? I
anyway,
want to hear it.
okay, the story back in the days that Greg can't let go at this happy hour. I'm there with my people, my sisters, her friends, some of my boys. I just happened to step in the hallway. Some young lady, and I got it from Minister Society. Some young lady come down from her room to bend over and at the vending machine or grabbing a can of pop or something. And I said, looked at her and I said, man, I would love to take care of your body.
Oh, that pickup line.
Yeah. And
Mm.
she said, excuse me? I
And
said,
she
yeah,
let you take care of that body,
I
huh?
would love to take care of your body. We swapped numbers. You know, I'm feeling nice, whatever. Didn't think nothing of it. She calls me the next day, and I'm like, didn't know the voice. So like, okay, who is this? She is like, oh, I'm the woman that you said you wanted to take care of my body. And she's like, so, what are you doing tonight? Can we meet at this club, Jasmine's in Buffalo? She said, can we meet? We met, and y'all know the history. After
You
that,
took care of that body, huh?
I ain't saying one way or another, but that's how that kind of played out. But then Greg said, what do you say? From the pics I saw, you were all dressed up like you were hunting. I don't know what pictures you saw
You
that
were
we were dressed
hunting.
up like we were hunting. I don't know about that one. Like we were pictures that I posted, we were dressed up like we was hunting. I don't know about that one. You must was tuned in on somebody else's page. Because we just kind of went through the theme and all of that stuff, and we was just casual. What else he said? Are you all talk or do you mean it? Greg,
Baby,
man,
don't talk.
don't play with me, man. Don't play with me. Don't play with me. My resume is tight.
You're what?
My resume is tight.
Mm-hmm. So you say.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anita, come to the next family function and watch me work.
Oh, I'm coming. Just like this. My little top here.
Okay.
And I'm gonna watch you work. And I'm gonna have my I'm gonna see how the other guys move too.
I don't know about that. I don't worry about the next man.
I said me.
Oh, how they gonna move on you?
I'm gonna see what they bring to the table. I'm gonna see how much bullshit.
I don't know what they gonna bring to the table. I don't know.
Probably nothing.
But again,
Because they're scared. They're scared to talk to women these days.
To go back to that, I think is more of an opportunity in those type of settings than on social media with random people. That
You're right.
I wholeheartedly believe that it's more opportunities for that to happen than not. So people need to take advantage of. I mean, I think me and my crew, we was ahead of the game way before our time. That's what we always thought. We were like, why would we want to be at a club with random people when we can get a group of guys and a group of girls together and we just socialize and and see what sparks come out of that. And a lot of sparks came out of it. So that I wholeheartedly believe in that.
Yeah. I know in Texas, sorry, I'm trying to take my nighttime cray-cray meds so I can wake up and not be cray-cray tomorrow. So when I lived in Texas, me and the girls, we had this thing that we did. We called it First Friday. Have you guys ever heard about doing something like that?
Well, they used to have First Fridays at Sweetwater's. They used to have the First Friday happy hour in Buffalo.
No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about, so me and the girls, our small group of girls, every First Friday we would meet up somewhere, and one of the girls or whoever wanted to bring somebody would invite one of their friends. So before we knew it, we had a larger social circle and start networking like that. And it worked out pretty well. Yeah, it was fun too. Sometimes we would, after we got some social circles going on, different people, we went to, meet up at a nightclub or plan like a special I don't know, like not banquet, but special little room or whatever. It was nice. People, I don't know. Niagara Falls, these people seem weird to me here. I mentioned it to a few people. They're like, what? We actually socialize? Yeah, socialize. Bring one of your friends. I'll bring one of my friends. We can all be friends. Like, get to know each other kind of stuff. But I dropped a whole bunch of stuff.
And it usually take people that think outside the box to bring different people into the circle. So some people just used to looking at doing the same old thing all the time, and we already know what the definition of that is. When you keep doing the same thing, expect different results is insanity. So we live in that type of environment, which is in connection with this whole conversation. How it's going to impact if we don't find ways to create opportunities that we can grow together and bring, dynamics of relationships at a different level. Because if not, we're going to be faced with all the things that we talked about earlier.
You're right.
And nobody really wants to hear that, because they think everybody always think, oh, we got time, it's not gonna that's years, that's down the line from now, whatever. But time, like I said, time don't stand still. That shit hit hard and hit fast, and now then you're in a dilemma like, oh shit, I didn't think it was gonna roll up on me. So we got to be more innovative and be more creative and try to bring things together. Now, with some people, they'll be steadfast and say, shit, I'd just rather be single. That's fine.
Sometimes it's a lot less of a hassle.
And we talked about all that.
Have friends that support you and help you out. And yeah, a lot less hassle sometimes, unless you meet the right one.
And I don't know all of that. Oh, I'm waiting to meet the right one, whatever. The right one for what, or for what situation? You never know who the right one is. I think it's body of work. It's a combination of time that leads you to that point. You just never know what obstacles or something that you could face, and that you could be turned off by a situation, by the way that person responded, or whatever the case is. So waiting for that perfect person to come, that guardian angel or whatever, I think it's a fairy tale.
I ain't talking about the fairy tale. Now, we all know y'all guys ain't perfect. We all know that. We all know women are perfect. Okay?
See, now you talking reckless.
So, in order for men to, join society again, they got to stop being scared of women and act accordingly.
This is what you're not realizing. Men don't have to do a fucking thing.
Okay, men don't have to do a fucking thing. And I don't give a fuck about it. Because
but apparently you do, because you're making statements regarding what men should do.
We're having a conversation, aren't we? You're about men and women.
So if you don't care, why should men do anything?
I don't care if you, Herbert.
I said nothing about me. I said men.
And I said men because you said, I'm reflecting off of what you said about men don't want to deal with that anymore. Men don't want to talk to women anymore. Okay, get over your fucking selves, guys. Make your move. Be smooth about it. Be nice about it.
I see. This is why you need to stop coming into shows halfway through, because everything you said was already addressed.
Okay, well, I'm saying it from my perspective.
But you're missing half of the show and you're
I
commenting.
couldn't even come on the show at the beginning.
But this is the point. We've already addressed what you're speaking of.
Okay. I just won't come on the show late anymore. I won't, if I'm late, I just won't come at all. How about that?
It helps. You can't take a test only knowing half the material.
It helps if Facebook and would cooperate too with StreamYard.
Was that?
No, I'm just saying you want to talk about I'm late, okay?
So hold on. Why not ask what was said prior?
Okay, why don't you just tell me what was said prior instead of saying we already addressed that? Okay, well, tell me what you addressed. Tell me what was said.
Because we addressed the fact that when men
okay, but tell me what was said then.
We addressed the fact that when men approach some women, they're derided.
They're what?
They are derided, meaning they're made fun of. And then they don't want to approach women anymore. It's like I said about the baseball. If men are throwing out the first pitch and women aren't swinging, there is no game. Men are done approaching women and made to feel less than. That's not a male issue. That is a female-generated issue. And like I said, when these women are chasing that silver bullet, i.e. the top 25%, and they're complaining about men being committed phobes, it's not the men that they don't want. It's the men that they want that aren't committed to them because women are making it easy for those men not to commit.
It's easy to pass the blame on to somebody else instead of doing your own inside shadow work. Like, hey, I think this is a nice female. Whether I get shot down or not, I'm gonna try anyway.
You know why? You know why you say that? Because you don't approach men. Because women in general don't approach men.
How do you know I don't approach men?
When's the last time you approached one?
A couple months ago.
Thank you.
A couple months ago.
I'm glad it took you that long to respond.
Because I was thinking, what is this month? It's June. Okay, so a couple months ago.
Because the average woman is not going to approach a man.
Well, I'm better than average, okay?
But that now you understand the point that we make when we say, stop telling men what they should do. Why don't you tell women? Why don't you tell women what they should do?
Women try to tell women what to do all the time, or what they need to do, or what they should do, or just insult women, single mothers, stuff like that. Think like
how do we insult single mothers? Because
it was taken as being an insult. It was passively insulting to single mothers.
Who puts a woman in a position to become a single mother, a man or her choices?
Both, actually. We ain't having that conversation again. We are not going down that road again.
There's a conversation to be had. If a woman doesn't want to
have sex, her perspective on it.
If a woman doesn't want to have sex,
half of these toxic men out here, we know their perspective. They look down on single mothers.
Well, whose responsibility is that to prevent that? Thank you.
Well,
thank you.
What do you mean? Thank you.
Thank you for your answer. If a woman doesn't want to have a child, who can force her to have a child?
Okay, if a woman, hold on.
I just want to hear an answer to the question, not an explanation.
Ask me the question again.
If women a woman does not want to have a child, who can force her to have a child?
Nobody. Women.
So her being a single mother is exclusively her decision.
Okay, and that's fine.
Okay.
So why is it portrayed as a bad thing? That's what I don't understand.
Ask the women who can't find a suitable mate after she's already given birth to somebody that she doesn't marry. That's not a man-generated problem. A man has every option to say he doesn't want to date someone. But when men make that choice, it's a problem. But women can say they don't want to marry a man that's under 6 foot. They don't want to marry a man or date a man that doesn't make a specific amount of money, and it's fine. See, we're in an era now where men are saying, fuck what your standards are. I don't care. We don't want to deal with it. And women don't like that now because they're not in the
No,
power
women
position
don't give
anymore.
a fuck either because we
Apparently
don't.
they do because TikTok is full of it.
Women don't give a fuck either anymore because women are tired of being insulted by having a child. A child is a blessing.
To
It
the woman,
shouldn't be a detriment.
not the man. That's not a
And
problem.
there's plenty of good men that don't mind dating a single mother with kids.
And y'all keep hoping on that.
Keep what?
Keep hoping. Keep hope alive.
I mean, women ain't gotta hope. It's true.
The numbers don't reflect that. That's why they're on TikTok bitching about it now. I'm just
Well,
here to give you the
they're
information.
swimming in the wrong pond then.
It ain't but one pond.
I mean, I'm not a single parent, so I don't
It's a big pond.
I don't
but there's only
relate.
one pond.
directly relate, but I think it is
Nah.
the whole men versus women thing. I think it's old and done, and we should move on, heal your traumas, and
this is not a man versus woman thing.
it is.
It is not.
Okay, take a poll. Take a poll. Ask the audience. Does it seem like there's a men versus women thing going on in the counselor's corner?
So when you say heal your traumas, I think first of all, people have to accept that they have
traumas in the first place. Correct.
And that's the key thing. And one of the things lately I've been honing on when women say, "Oh, I got anxiety," and I say, "Oh," and I say, "Well, anxiety possibly could lead to depression." And I'm not depressed. Not all. Like, why are you getting offended? I'm just telling you. 60% of people who got anxiety probably will end up with depression. And so I think people like to throw out stuff without really knowing what it all means. So to say, "Oh, I got anxiety," like that, like that's a cool buzzword, because all that really means is
what though?
Your thoughts are preoccupied. You're worried about certain things all the time. Sound like to me a potential train wreck. But people keep throwing that out there, mainly women, about my anxiety over this and that. So you got preoccupied thoughts and worries about certain things, probably that you can't control, and you let it infiltrates your thoughts and impacts your relationships, impacts the way you perform at work and all that stuff. So I just say it leads to depression. But nobody, that word right there is like, oh, people don't want to hear it. They want to hear it. It's okay to be anxiety ridden, but you don't want to be depressed.
This is why I reiterate that. It's not the men who are not holding up the end of the bargain. Because men can do what men have been doing for generations. But if there's no one to reciprocate, then why would anyone tell a person to be running headlong into a brick wall? That is.
If you want to be single, that's a good way to be single.
See, I never mentioned anything about being single. Why would any individual tell someone to do something that harms them? This is what women keep telling men to do. Well, go find the next woman. Well, go deal with this woman. Well, go deal with this woman. It's just easier from a male standpoint not to run into a brick wall. Period.
I think a lot of women have that same perspective too.
How when they're not approaching guys?
Okay, Herbert.
How is a woman running into a brick wall if she does nothing but sit there and wait for somebody to approach her? You got to explain that to me.
I was talking about actually.
I'm talking about approach. I'm not talking about a failed relationship, because when a failed relationship happens, two people are in that relationship. So that's a zero-sum game. I'm talking about strictly approaching someone. Women aren't doing it. You've already confirmed that.
I didn't confirm it. I said I approach men. I'm not scared to. If I find a man interesting. Mm-hmm.
I'm done.
Because you don't see a woman's perspective. Look on the comments. Look on the comments in the counselor's corner. Ask the women. Do they think it's a battle of the sexes in the counselor's corner? As a matter of fact,
you mean the ones that intentionally try to incite male animosity? Those women?
No, I'm not talking about those women. I'm talking about the men that purposely have ignorant comments calling a woman crazy, bitch, this, that, hoe. It's ridiculous comments.
So what if their experiences reflect that?
They don't have to generalize women like that, especially a woman that made a general comment.
What if
so you think that's appropriate?
See,
it's not appropriate.
Appropriate for whom?
It's not appropriate for a healthy discussion on comments.
What if they're just using the counselor's corner to vent?
Maybe they should find somewhere else to vent if you're going to call women bitches, hoes, and all that, because it's just creating a toxic environment.
So it's okay for women to refer to men as fuckboys. Men that they don't know.
No, I didn't say that.
But
I didn't say that's okay.
You're not criticizing it.
I'm talking about men.
Exactly.
Men. I'm not talking about the women.
Exactly.
I'm talking about women in the aspect that if you ask if you ask women in the counselor's corner,
I'm not concerned about them.
What?
I am not concerned about them.
This is the example that I'm using, whether you're concerned about them or not.
Because you keep saying ask them when the ones that are speaking are the ones who are causing it. But because you refuse to address it, it's only from the female perspective. If you can't address both sides of it, then you're creating an imbalance. Period.
Okay, I'm done with you, Herbert, because you're not understanding what I'm saying. You're not understanding at all what I'm saying. I'm using the counselor's corner as an example, a prime example of why women are frustrated with guys, because it seems like, especially in the counselor's corner, the battle of the sexes. It could be a great woman that says something.
Who are you to say who's great?
What?
Who are you to say who's great?
Okay, that is
well,
that's like a minor detail.
No, it isn't. I agree. Thank you, Greg.
Okay, it could be a nice female. Okay, just pretend she's a nice female, Herbert. Just pretend she's a nice female. Okay, and she can say something. And you know, I've read the comments in the counselor's corner. There are at least two. Two.
I do not say that about any women that comment consistently in the counselor's corner. Okay,
you're not listening.
No, I heard what you said.
No, you didn't hear what I said because I wasn't done talking and making my point. There's at least two guys in the counselor's corner that I read those comments and I'm like, dude, that wasn't even part of the original post that you're coming back with this toxicity in the first place. I don't comment on it because I'm like, yo, whatever. But sometimes,
so two guys
sometimes.
Representative of all the men in the counselor's corner. Am I correct in understanding what you just said?
I will say the ones who regularly comment.
So make that statement then. Qualify your statement. Qualify your statement.
I'm not qualifying anything.
All right, and see, and this is
Okay.
the impact that we have.
I said at least 2 that comment in the counselor's corner. You weren't listening.
So we're gonna base everything on the counselor's corner. Is the counselor's
Thank
corner a microcosm of society, just on a smaller level?
It might be. It might be. It might be.
Mm.
It might be. I don't know, because I see that it appears to me and maybe other women that it is a battle of the sexes in the counselor's corner, because it doesn't matter what words I use, because Herbert's going to say, "Oh, you should have said this word, this word." It appears. It appears that it's battle of the sexes, that women are always wrong no matter what. And women are tired of that bullshit mindset. And
I'm going to ask you a very, very simple question. In homosexual female relationships, who's to blame for the dissolution of the relationship?
In what?
In homosexual female relationships, who's to blame for the dissolution of that relationship?
I don't know.
And that's why I'm done.
Because it depends on the relationship.
You
I don't know. I don't understand what disillusion you're talking about.
You didn't hear the question. In a homosexual. Hold on. In a homosexual female relationship, who's to blame for the dissolution of the relationship?
It's only one sex, so.
Oh, and you know what the funny thing about that is? They have the highest rates of domestic violence.
Who gives a fuck?
Because you want to say that men are the problem.
Because a lot of times they are.
Except when there is no man involved.
A lot of men are toxic and don't do their shadow work and think that they don't have trauma and it's not affecting their relationships. Women are more open to the idea that they have trauma and they need to fix their trauma and understand what they're going through and work on themselves before they get caught up with a toxic man. Mm-hmm. And it's not a good relationship. So
I don't even look at the percentages and all that stuff. Knowing who you are is what you tolerate. So if you feel somebody's toxic or it's a toxic interaction, you determine it's the way you respond to it. I laugh at a lot of the stuff that's put out there, and I get phone calls. I get about, oh, what's going on in the counselor's corner, whatever. It's the way you respond to it. If it doesn't bother you or you know who you are, the problem is people really not comfortable of who they are, and they let certain shit get to them. All that stuff could be put out there. It's put out there on a regular basis. Doesn't impact me. Doesn't bother me because I know who I am. And that's the probably the miracle question to ask people. Do you know who you are?
Yep.
Do you know who you are? And many people like I was born in Niagara Falls. I graduated from Niagara Falls High School and did this and that. But what do you stand for? What's your mission statement? What do you believe in? Many people can't answer that. So that's probably the bigger issue than anything, because nothing in the counselor's corner that's put out there just had me, oh, I'm so devastated by this. This female said this about these guys and all that stuff. All that stuff don't bother me. I just did a duet on TikTok with this woman about this woman. She was sitting in her car waiting for her daughter to come out from school, and she was in a conversation with a guy, and I guess he said men don't like strong, kind of opinionated women, and he didn't like the sound of her voice. her voice doesn't match her face. When I first came on the thing, I said, "Why you mad? Why you look like you crying on here?" And like, you that upset? You that bothered by that? Stop talking to random men. Is it the first time he heard your voice? Because if he heard it more than once and he kept talking to you, like, why are you so bothered? She went on, oh man, at 50 years old, they this and that. Why don't they think they acting like they're 30 years old? It just kept going on and on. But you chose to have that conversation, and it upset you and it bothered you because he said your voice sounded, it might have been sound like too harsh, too tone, or too, her voice was too deep. And she's like, well, I'm not trying to be like Beyonce. I'm 55 years old. That's the last thing I have to worry about. How did he get your number? Did you call him? How did this interaction even happen? But now you on TikTok, like Herb said, complaining about men that's over 50, and some of the ways they handle things. You got to look at yourself. You got to look at yourself. Clearly, you thought, oh, I'm going to talk to him to kill time. And he killed your fucking spirit during that time while you waiting for. So we know what was going to happen. Your daughter was going to get in the car, or whoever, and you was probably going to have an attitude with her. And be snappy and quick with her because you got upset because Melvin said you had a deep ass voice and it don't match your face. See, those interactions you got to stop, and it's how you respond to it and how you control that. So people got to stop blaming men, and men stop blaming women. It's all about how you handle it, how you respond to certain situations. I'm not going to sit around and blame nobody for anything. It falls on me, on how I handle it. Can't blame it. Then I just have to go to the lab and be better or do something better. Everybody needs to be better and do better.
Because, and this is the funny thing, Greg and I had a discussion. I think it may have been Friday night, maybe Thursday night, early Saturday morning, regarding some things, regarding the relationships or lack thereof between black men and black women. And I was giving him some information, and he was incredulous, and I understood why he was incredulous. So after I responded to a post that he commented on about something that somebody didn't know anything about, and I said, this individual more than likely doesn't know what you're talking about. That's because they don't concern themselves with things that fit a certain narrative. In fact, they cheer it. Now, if you want to, you can go back in the Counselor's Corner and you can reference that post. This individual comes back trying to emasculate me, and it fails miserably.
Trying to emasculate
me. Same old troll. Same old troll. I already know who it is. Even
for saying what?
Say that again.
For saying what?
Greg had posted something. I think this was on the post. May have been about. I'm trying to recall exactly what it was. It was I can't remember the exact post. I have to go back and reference it because it's in my saves. But he had mentioned about Fannie Wills not being held to the same standard that men were. And I said, more than likely, the individual doesn't have a clue what you're talking about, mainly because it was a black woman that was allowed to just run off into the sunset after doing something that President Trump has been convicted of. I said, more than likely, they cheered that outcome because it's black girl power. The individual comes back and confirms that she didn't know what the hell was being spoken of. which is what I pretty much assumed. Now, I didn't call her out of her name. I didn't call her a bitch. I didn't call her anything. And here she is talking about fuck boy this, fuck boy that. And I'm just like, all right. And I messaged Greg again. I said, now do you see my point? At no time was I disrespectful to the individual. Matter of fact, I gave her the same type of credence that Greg gave her. She called him a honky. But we don't hear anybody say anything about that. So when people talk about what men should do, you're right. I take offense to it because nobody corrects black women when their asses are out of line. So until people start correcting both sides, I'm not paying people any attention.
Okay.
You want balance, give balance. That's all I ask.
What?
I said, if somebody wants balance, give balance. You can't do fractions if you don't have balance. And far too often, people want to do fractions when they don't have balance. That's not how fractions work.
How does fractions work?
You have to have a common denominator in order to do them.
I'm just fucking with you, Herbert.
I notice.
And like I said, I think the bigger thing is how we respond to certain situations, because you only can control your reactions to everything. And until people understand that, this is why you get people all wrapped up and upset over other people's shit, but you have no control over it. You only can control what you can control. So we got too many controlling people in this world that want to occupy and be worried about other people's stuff, to the point, again, we always talk about those health issues in it, that they stressed out, blood pressure high over something that you have no fucking control over, nothing you could do about it, and you losing sleep, and you worried about individuals who don't give a damn about how you feeling and how they impacting others, and you stressed out. I can't do it. I know how. Again, I brought it up on a post a couple weeks ago. Emotional numbness. I know how to numb shit out. I know how to numb it out. I'm gonna numb it out like that. That's not gonna bother me. Don't care who it is, because it's only one me. Once I'm gone, that's it. So for those of you who want to be involved, oh, that's my baby, that's my grandbaby, that's this or that's that. Keep killing yourself over shit you can't control. Keep killing yourself over stuff you can't control. I ain't gonna worry about it. You say he's selfish or whatever the case is. I'm not gonna worry about it. There's only one me. And I ain't gonna never be one to say I'm in a better place, whatever dead. Now I'm better living. I know we all gotta die, but right now I'm not suffering or hurting from anything, so I'm better off living. But I'd be damned if I let somebody else issues impact the way I move on a day-to-day basis. Y'all keep doing that. Keep trying to be mother of the year, daddy of the year, grandparent of the year, or whatever, and see where it gets you. That's all. That's my closing comment. So when Herb come back and y'all want to give y'all, that's my closing comment about all of this stuff. Relationships, being single, control what you can control. When you feel like you don't got no control over it, it's time to let it go and move forward. That's that. I don't let stuff concern me that'll impact me. I don't care what nobody posts. They could post this, they could post that. They could say this about men. They could say this about black men. They could say this about men with beards or this or that. I don't give a rat's ass. It's not going to impact me because I have other things on my mind. But some of y'all just get controlled by things that people say. And that's part of the reason why we're in this predicament we're in. And I want to let you, Anita, you're here. You can give your closing comment. When Herb come back, he can give his, and we out of here.
I don't know. I don't really have a closing comment.
You said you don't have one?
Nope.
Oh, you got one.
I wonder if Herbert's hungry for a knuckle sandwich.
You mad? Herb control. He control your your thought your ending your night, huh? So you ready to jump on?
He ain't controlling my night because I'm about to go have a date night.
Oh, you going to bed with Buddy and Rockabye Baby?
No, what do you think I'm putting my jewelry on for? To go to bed?
No, just to see how it looks for tomorrow. Stop playing with us.
No, I ain't got none. But I
ain't going nowhere at 11:40 tonight.
Hey, a lot of fun things happen at midnight. I don't turn into a pumpkin.
That's so cute, Anita. You faking jacks, but go ahead.
Not going to Denny's. Nope.
So you don't have a closing comment?
I did have one. Now I forgot. It slipped my mind now that I saw Herbert's smiley face.
So just keep playing Miss Dress Up and
I didn't know that. For real. I didn't have my Monday night drink yet. You know, I'm going out for a wine date, glass of wine, maybe on somebody's patio.
You'll be right in that damn bed.
maybe on the balcony.
Okay.
I ain't scared to approach man.
Herb.
Some men just don't appreciate it.
Say it again, Dave. I didn't hear you.
What's your closing comment? I already gave mine.
Oh man, hell. Hey, Napoleon Bonaparte is quoted as saying, "There's nothing more difficult or more precious than the ability to decide." And I agree that it's also a quote in my book. I think what people need to understand and come to grips with is the decisions made now will have a direct impact upon the future, good, bad, or indifferent. So people saying that they don't need this, that they are that, understand that the seeds you sow now are going to either feed the future or starve the future. That choice is up to you. And as always, either you're trying to put a brick in the wall or you're trying to take one out. And growth and understanding occurs in the gray area. Godspeed. See you next time.
Still love you, Herbert.
So Anita, so we're gonna come back. Do you got anything? Or we out of here? And I'm gonna let you continue to play Miss Dress Up for some other occasion because ain't shit going down tonight.
You wouldn't know because it ain't going down with you. Don't hate.
I can't
Don't
control
hate on that other man.
Yeah, I can't control it, so it ain't gonna bother me. It's nothing I can do about it.
No. You got to do what you got to do to get to where you want to be. I'm about to prepare for this KSAC exam. And, yep. Finally got out of my little funk there. And that's it. Got to do what you got to do to get to where you want to be.
All right. I appreciate that. Well, enjoy your evening. Everybody, have a great week, and continue to post, respond in the counselor's corner, as toxic it may be. but it's only toxic is the way the way that you take it and the way that you respond to it. People with strong emotional intelligence read through stuff. They may chime in. Never let it impact it. The people that's folding up over certain things, that's your own internal issue that you got to deal with. That you let certain things get to you that you can't handle, and then you want to blame a group when it's really you have to say, why did that bother me? Oh, I know why it bothered me because I was in a relationship like this, or my mother was like this, or my dad was like that. That's your own internal shit. So that's all it's doing is bringing out strife that people are going through, and y'all mad about it, and then y'all want to come for me, and then you're like, well, David just chilling, and he ain't doing this or that. You know why? Because it don't fucking bother me like that. That's why. So that said, sorry for the harsh words. We out. On to the next one. See you next time. And everybody be well and be safe. And
all right, people.
good night.
Take care.
Peace.
Bye.